A lot of people talk about the culture shocks that they get when they leave their home country to settle in a new place, but not many people talk about the reverse culture shocks that you get when you go from a place where you have settled down back to your home country. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video today. Just a little disclaimer before I start this video. Everything that I share in this video is based on my personal experiences of a decade living in this beautiful country, and it would differ from person to person. As no two people are same, neither are their experiences. So if there could be things that I enjoy which you really don't like, and also vice versa. So please keep that in mind. So I moved from India to Australia about 8 years ago, and I've so far loved living in this country. Of course, there are times when I miss India because it's home, it will always be home. But now Australia is my new home. So I recently visited India, and there were some experiences which absolutely shocked me. The things that used to feel normal back in the day doesn't feel anymore. So my number one shock when I first landed at Delhi airport was the amount of people. My God. Of course, Australia is a country of just 26 million people compared to 1.4 billion people in India. So that shouldn't be coming to a surprise to anyone, but it's still, somehow it feels like that I've forgotten what busy streets look like. So it was definitely something that bended my brain instantly. Number two is the noise. So Australian cities, almost all of them are fairly quiet. Honking is not a culture here. People also don't speak very loudly. So unless a driver has made like a significant mistake on the road, you will not hear the cars or the buses honking at anyone. So despite, even if it's in a traffic situation, the cities are fairly quiet. Now compare that to places in India, it's honking left, right, and center. So the moment you step out of home, there are garbage trucks, there are cars, there are buses, there are autos, everything is honking like in your face, which is or was quite normal when I lived there. But at the moment, it was something that was very irritable to my ears and wasn't pleasant at all. Number three is the business hours. So business hours is something which is totally opposite in the two countries, Australia and India. So in India, you finish work by like 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. in the evening, and that's when the fun begins. You go out for shopping, you go out for dinner, you meet friends, you have all that fun stuff. On the other hand, here in Australia, most our coffee shops close by 3 p.m. Most of the grocery stores are closed by 5 p.m. And not many people are out and about after, let's say, 7 or 8 p.m. unless you are going to an event or you're meeting friends for dinner, which is so different and something that I'd completely forgotten of almost a decade now living in Australia. Number four is the pollution. So if I have to pick one thing that shocked me the most in the recent visit to India was pollution. That is definitely not how I grew up when I was I've been born and brought up in India, and it was very different till the time I was there. Now, particularly in Delhi, the ambience is grey 24/7 all the time. India has become one of the most polluted countries in the world. To give you a comparison between India and Australia, the AQI, which is the Air Quality Index for Australia on an average is 19 compared to 147 for India. It's a sad reality. Makes me sad, and it was like definitely a shocker of how polluted it has become. Number five, also a positive one, the street food. So anyone who has ever visited to India would completely agree, and maybe I'm a bit biased, but India has some of the best street food in the world. The amount of varieties that you get and the prices that you get the street food at is totally unparalleled in the world. There's so much that you can eat regardless of which part of the country in India you are. The street food is absolutely delicious. There are so many options. You'll have different things in the day, different things in the night. Different parts of the country will have different amazing cuisine, but street food is something that binds the country like nothing else. On the other hand, here in Australia, there is no street food. Don't get me wrong, there are some food trucks and some food stalls that you'll see in some of the markets in different days of the week, but it's not really a culture here that you'll find like a random food truck standing in a suburb anywhere, which is something which was like back in the day a bit shock for me when I came to Australia. But now when I go back to India, it's the fun times and I love the street food back home. Number 6 is the traffic. So this point goes quite similar to my number 1 point with the amount of people in India. So of course, it's a country of more than 1.4 billion people. So the traffic situation is not necessarily great. It's always crowded on the roads, and it feels like that I've almost forgotten what traffic feels like after almost a decade living in Australia. So of course, we have like rush hours in the morning, an evening rush during office business hours, but it's not necessarily even closer to what you see in India. So even for like shorter distances, if it's just 5 or 10 kilometers, you can sometimes spend more than hours or a couple of hours on the roads. So the traffic is really bad, and something that surprised me. Number 7 is a home delivery systems. So this was more of a pleasant surprise than shock. India now has so many apps that promises you a 10-minute home delivery system, which is insanely amazing. My God. So you can get your groceries, you can get desserts, you can get medicines in less than 10 minutes. It just like, it's amazing. And we don't have anything like that here in Australia. Really hope that at some point we do, because that like saves a lot of time. But it was great. There are apps like Blinkit, Zepto. Of course, this video is not sponsored by any of them. These are just something that I personally used and I thought I'll share. And it's just amazing to have the fastest home delivery that you can possibly imagine. Now, if you want to check out what were my actual culture shocks when I moved from India to Australia, check out this video next.